Yo, what's up everybody? It is your boy Slim, aka Mr. Different, back with another video. Once again, I do apologize, guys. I've been sick these past couple of days and this weekend, since Friday, and I just got better today. So I'm back. Sorry about Feedback Fridays this weekend. Gonna do it this week. Probably gonna double up, maybe Thursday and Friday for you guys. We'll see. So yeah, but anyway, today I'm gonna show you guys how to make a Future X Drake X Mr. Different type of beat. So basically what this is, like I said, I'm gonna show you how I made this beat. This is an FL Studio tutorial. I have one for Ableton Live that will come out tomorrow, most likely, because I still gotta mix it and arrange it. So there will be an Ableton tutorial of the same type of sound, but you know, in Ableton for you guys. So yeah, the Ableton tutorials are coming tomorrow, starting tomorrow. But this one's for the FL Studio people. Basically what I try to do, I try to get that kind of, I don't know, I heard that new Drake and Future song. I ain't trying to go exactly like it, but I kind of was thinking about that song when I was making this. And, you know, I just did my own spin. So it's an X Mr. Different type beat because, you know, my style. So let's get right to it, what I did, show you guys how I did it. I'm not showing you guys the mastering phase because I already made a video about mastering. So you can check that out on my channel, just how to master your beats. And you can show you what though how to master with stock plugins and third party. So I'm not showing you how to master it. I will show you what I did to mix in a little bit and how I made the sound. So let's start off with the first pattern. We'll start with the first sound I use, which is an analog lab sound, which is called 70 sequence. And this is what it sounds like without the effects. Sounds very cheesy, by the way. Sound very old school video game 8-bit sound. I did throw some gross beats on it because gross beats make everything sound good. We know that. I put it on the half speed preset because, you know, why not? Because that just makes it sound good. And I cut some of the highs, I think. Yeah, I cut a little bit of the highs so it's not too bright. And it kind of just gave it like, it gave it that kind of trap, future type vibe to it once I did that. You know, a lot of them sounds, you know, like he gets from 808 Mafia, Zaytoven, people like that. Metro Boomin, you know, they use a lot of gross beats in FL Studio, so I thought, you know, it'd be appropriate to use gross beats and to get this kind of vibe right here. And that just sounds, in my opinion, that just gives it that trap, that you know, that future type of trap feel right there. Just a little bit of gross beats. I mean, that's easy. I said, found a cheesy ass pad or ARP and then just threw some gross beats on it. Next up, I use another analog lab sound. This is this sounds a pad sound. There it is right there. I don't know the name of, fuck it, copy it, paste it, whatever. I love this plugin, by the way. I think I did a review on it, so check that out. Probably one of my favorite plugins right now that I'm using. And it's very cheap too. It's like $40, I think. But it's a pad sound with a little bit of weird EQ, and that's not really no parameters, but this is what it sounds like. You know, it sounds pretty basic sounding, but you know, it added to the vibe, especially when it went along with the art. It added vibe. So I just play like a little bit of little riff if you want to see. It's actually using white keys. Usually, y'all know I don't normally use white keys, but in this beat, I actually use the white note, the white key. I'm usually the black note. I usually play minor, but this is a major beat, which is kind of unusual for my style of music. So let's play that, and then And you see how it has that little slight delay to it too. I could have emphasized that, but I didn't because it had like a little slight delay to it. And then like I said, when you put that with the ARP, it just gives it that. To me, it gives it a future type of sound to it. So it has the bounce to it right there. You start getting that bounce. But anyway, enough of my rambling. Next, I'm using a choir sound. I guess I think this is a pad sound, chanting choir. Very weird kind of choir sound. Doing a little, doing my normal EQ. When I use choirs, I usually always cut the lows and the highs just because I don't care too much about them. So I always cut my lows and highs to kind of focus it in. Without it, sounds a little bright in my opinion. But then, still, it's not a huge difference, but it does work. And it just adds some layer to it, some thickness to it. And it's just the same notes. It's just the same notes as the second sound, but it just has that kind of sweeping, kind of glide, that kind of eerie feel, that very ambient sound. That's the sound I want to go for. With my beats, I like to be spaced out and ambient, and that just gives it that ambient, spaced out vibe right there. Next up is a hi-hat, nothing special here. I know you noticed that I have this weird I use the randomize function to randomize the actual velocity of it. And then if we switch to the panning, I did some cool panning tricks. As you see how it goes from left to right and back down. So it's kind of moving in between stereo field. And the easy way to do that is to hold the right button, the right click, and it'll turn it to this little point right here. You can just kind of do like this and kind of have like a weird type of, you kind of do that. That's what I did. I just went all the way to one point and I just dragged it down by holding the right click, and now it's gonna. And this is a cool little trick you can do to add some more, some more variety to your. Let's fix that real quick. Just add some more variety to your mix. Just kind of, have it going in between the stereo field and kind of bouncing in between. It just adds more energy and more, bounce to it. And you can hear it right here. It just, I don't know. To me, it just gives it more bounce and more flavor to it. You can be the judge on that, but that's what I did. For the effects, I put a little bit of EQ on it to cut all the lows because it's mostly high frequency content. And then I added a fruity reverb too because it's a basic reverb and it works. Did a little bit of low cut and high cut, just kind of wanted that mid frequency reverb. I don't know, I don't like reverb in the low end. I just don't. And I don't like reverb in the high end too much either. So that's just my opinion. And I brought down the wet a little bit, the wet knob, just to kind of make it just a little bit of reverb. Like this would sound like dry. And then with the reverb, and you can bring it back even some more if you want to. Just give it, a little room. No, just give it a little ambience. That's all. That's all that's doing. Next up is the next hi-hat I use, which is basically just a kind of a triplet note. It's just triplets, but it's actually going all through the stereo field. So it's going from left to right speaker. So it's just kind of moving through your headphones the whole time. It's just kind of simple, like. That's all that's doing. And then coupled with the regular hi-hats, it gives you that bounce to it. So. And that's all that's doing. Just bounce between the left and right speakers, which is pretty nice. And I'm using low notes on it too, so I'm using like down here. Usually it's a higher note, like, but we just brought it down in pitch, just to give it a little bit more, that typical trap sound. Then a simple little hi-hat, nothing special here. But what I did to it to make it give it a little bit more. I added my Echo Boy, gave it some delay, and the delay's at 1/4 notes with a good bit of delay, good bit of feedback. Added Pan Man, which you can also use Fruity Love filter if you want to kind of simulate this. It's called the Twinkle preset, but it's just making it go in between the stereo field, in between left and right speakers. And then I added some phaser to it to kind of give it like a little bit of like, I guess, space laser type sound. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what I was going for. And when you hear it, see how it's just bouncing between the stereo field. And like I said, couple that with the hi-hats, you get that. Well, that's not the hi-hat, is it? It's just, you just get that kind of that movement. You get a lot of movement going on with that. And that's going to add in that bounce. When you start having hi-hats and drums and snares and all that, kind of, you have certain notes off timing with each other, you start getting a little bounce. You have it, like I said, moving through the stereo field and pan left and right and all that. You start adding that bounce to your tracks. That's just a good way of getting, a little bit more rhythm in your stuff and make it sound more alive. Next is the kick drum, which is just a kick, a standard kick. A little bit of distortion on it, like always. I use I don't know what the A preset is. Usually I use the N preset, the E preset, the EMI, the knee preset. That's the A preset because it sounded better for this one. And then I use my virtual mix rack, and I use the Monster, which is basically a parallel compression module for this. And basically just simulates parallel compression, which I don't think I made a video about that. If you guys want to make a video about parallel compression, I'll do so. But yeah, parallel compression is like pretty much compressing the shit out of your sound and then bringing back the wet knob and blending it with the dry signal to get like a really punchy, in your face, aggressive type of sound, which I can make a video on how to do it. If you guys want me to, just, let your boy know and we'll get right on to that. So that just gives a little bit of punch as here without the drums. Let's see the drums without any processing. Sounds good. Add a little processing to it. Has a little bit of that top knock, that little top end kind of knock to the end. Sounds pretty good to me. It's a personal thing, but I like it. Next, I use this as 808. Oh, that's a little. Using the 808 as always. I did have the decapitator on it, but I took it off because it sounded like shit. It sounded like shit with the decapitator on it. But yeah, a couple of that, did a little side chaining with the kick drum, which I haven't made a side chain video, but I will. If you guys want a side chain video, let your boy know and I'll do that. But I side chain it with the kick drum, so it has that little side chain effect. Not too much, because a lot of people complain about how much I side chain, but that's just my style, and that's how I do stuff. You don't like it, do it differently. But yeah, here we go. And it's just a simple little pattern. I'll show you how I switch it up in the beat actually in a little bit. But yeah, just a simple little pattern. Like I said, start adding everything in, you'll hear everything. Then I add this cool little snare. Shit ton of reverb on it. Shit ton of reverb. A little EQ, a little reverb. Just a basic snare. And then I added this snare below it. Oh shit, hold on. That snare, and my bad, and this is a snare. That's my main snare. Regular snare, your typical trap snare, and then that kind of Zaytoven snare, and then you can hear it right here, so. And I ain't doing nothing much to either one of them. I just kind of EQ'd. I actually didn't EQ the second one or nothing. The first one has a little bit of reverb on it, which I think I put too much. I'm 50-50 there. Yeah, that sounds a little bit better. But yeah, something very simple like that. And like I said, once you add all the drums in there, you'll be able to hear the hi-hats, the drums, the 808s, and everything. You'll be able to hear that bounce that I was trying to go for, like that future type bounce. So. You see, like, hearing stuff individually, you're probably like, shit sucks bad. Once you hear it all together, you start being able to piece together everything, so. that's one thing a lot of people need to understand, that sounds by themselves will sound like shit until you start layering and adding more stuff. Once you have the whole product done, you'll be able to hear the whole song. It's amazing hearing how good a song sounds, but if you start individually soloing shit, it starts to sound like garbage. But anyway, I use Omnisphere. I use the anti-pluck bells for this kind of little bell sound. Sound like that Black Beatles bell a little bit. You know, whatever. That just kind of add a little ambience in there. So just, you know, just go along with everything else. Gotta make it sound ambient and spaced out, because that's the different side of the beat. And then last but not least, I used the preset from Space Sauce Volume 1, which is this lead right here called Eerie, and it's just, you know, Beethoven usually had those kind of, because I wanted that Beethoven type feel. You know, he usually had like the flutes and stuff like that playing, and I wanted to kind of get that, but not be like just pick a generic flute sound. So I went with that instead. Add a little bit of EQ to it, cutting the lows of it, and then added some chorus to it with a very high depth, a little bit of delay, and a really low LFO on it. And everything else is kind of normal. And that just kind of gives it kind of a doubling effect, as you hear. Just makes it wider sounding too, which is always nice. And that is it as far as the sounds I use. So let's turn on the sounds. We'll look at the arrangement real quick. The arrangement is very basic, you know, basic build up. Up in this area, I changed the drums, the 808s actually right in here. So as you can see, the 808 is going to sound a little bit different as I play it right here. I'll play from right here, you'll hear it. Give a little bit of variety in the beginning. And I think right in here, I changed the drums up at the end, the regular kick drum. Because that's the only part that happens. So like I said, it got two parts that only happen once during the beat. And like I said, you don't have, like I said, when I made my video about arrangement, which is a very popular video on my channel, which I do highly appreciate that for you guys. But like I said, arrangement doesn't have to be something super crazy. The structure would be not to be too crazy. Just have little subtle change-ups here and there throughout the beat, and that will essentially make the beat. But if you just keep it all the same throughout, it's gonna be very boring and repetitive. But having like little bitty change-ups here and there like that, very subtle to the kick drum, the snare, the hi-hat, maybe add one extra sound there. You got a full beat that sounds evolving throughout. And that's pretty much it right there. And like I said, that's the beat. The beat's super simple. It's not hard. The build-up is very nice. Nothing in the beginning, no automation, because I mean, I think the beat by itself just has that future vibe to it, especially the beginning when you had the, yeah, you know, you had it. Just go future, man. Yo. Sipping on that lane. I got the dope and I get it. Y'all know this, you know, just some bullshit. Y'all know, just some bullshit like that. Whatever. I ain't about to freestyle for you guys. I ain't about to damage your ears. As you can see, that my beat was peaking around, I think, -6. That's just because I got a little limiter on it. But like I said, this ain't gonna be the full master. The full beat will probably come out tomorrow, and then you guys hear it. But like I said, I made a video about mastering. Not gonna do in this video because whatever. The video's already too long as it is, 20 minutes. That's all you get out of me today. But yeah, that's just how I make a little Future X Drake X Mr. Different style beat in FL Studio. Very basic, but at the end of the day, like I said, when you have the sounds put together all together, it does sound, like I said, like it took more into it, which a lot of these beats nowadays are like that. Keep it simple. Don't go crazy with it. So yeah, if you got any questions, please hit me up. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you guys want to see next. I got more of them. I do have an Ableton tutorial coming out tomorrow in the same style genre. I'm going to do that every day. I'm going to have the FL Studio video drop. Then I'm going to have the Ableton video drop. So that way, you know, everybody's satisfied. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Like always, y'all know who it is, your boy Slim, aka Mr. Different. Hope you guys enjoy like always. Yep, sorry I was sick. Feedback Friday's coming back this week, and I have more good news and more updates in the future. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy. Check out links below, you know, get your sounds today and all that goodness. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy. See you guys in the next video.